Welcome to this week's Dream Car judging video here at BOTB. We'd now like to hand over to today's lawyer from Onside Law who'll oversee the proceedings.
My name's George Cottle from Onside Law and I'll be overseeing the judging this morning. Firstly, I can confirm that the competition data has already been sent to the auditing company as is. I would now like today's judges to introduce themselves and using the secure link provided, mark on the screen where they think the centre of the ball should be. The group will then come to a final panel decision.
Good morning, my name is Matt Cannon. I'm a senior county referee and footballer.
Good morning, my name's Hugh Gilroy. I'm a referee, mentor, tutor and observer.
Good morning, my name's Andy Braithwaite and I'm a football referee, mentor and licensed observer.
Hi, my name is Kieran Fitzgibbon. I've played football for more than 30 years and I'm also a referee.
Hi, my name's Renee Hector and I coach for Watford FC Women's Development and I'm a coach at Tottenham Hotspur Foundation.
Hi, I'm Joe Thompson, ex-professional footballer and now presenter for MUTV.
Hello, my name's Wendy Martin. I previously played for Tottenham Hotspur Ladies and currently play beach soccer for England and Team GB.
Good morning, my name is Alain Goma. I'm an ex-professional football player, having played for Paris Saint-Germain, Newcastle and Fulham.
Judges, please now come to a final panel decision. For your reference, the larger white cross is the calculated average of the 8 individual selections.
Thank you very much, George. Good morning, everybody. Before I draw some lines in, Renee, I'm going to come to you. There's your orange cross there, roughly in the middle of the rest of the judges. If you could explain what you're seeing in the photograph, where you think the trajectory of the ball is coming in and how you reached your decision, please.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. I think it's always a difficult one when both players are facing in the same direction, but I believe that the player in yellow is just almost trying to pin the player in claret and blue. I think the ball's coming in from left to right. And by his arms, I believe he's going to try and bring this ball down, whether that be by his chest or he's going to start backing off even more and almost control it with his thigh. But yeah, I obviously used the trajectory from the player in yellow's eyes. As we say, can't look sort of through the forehead, and I'd say he's almost looking out in the foreground rather than too steeply. And then the player in blue, I believe, can see the ball over the top of his head, so it's got to have a little bit of height. But I didn't think the player in blue was looking too steeply either. So that's why I've gone sort of just above the player in yellow's head. But yeah, I think he's going to back off and try and bring this ball in.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So I'll draw some lines in first from the player in the front, yellow. And then from this player in the background. Oh, there we go. So I'll start with the furthest away and then work my way in today. So Hugh, that's you. You're a little bit further to the left than the rest of the judges and not quite as high as Joe's. But could you explain how you reached your decision, please?
Yeah, sure thing. So for me, 2 players in the shot, I agree. I think the yellow player is backing in. The player in blue's kind of holding him. You can see his arm round the front of him. And I just felt that 2 things. One, I felt neither of the players were challenging for the ball yet. So I don't think the player in yellow is fully set in his position. And I don't feel the blues got full hold of him or is tried to jump over the top to play the ball yet. So I didn't think it was that close. the second thing is I couldn't see a lot of whites under the eye. For me, the player in blue is looking out into the distance. So I felt I had a bit of distance still. And I didn't think it was right above the player in yellow just because I didn't see much white and him looking that steeply up. So I felt he was still looking kind of off into the distance slightly. So it still had some distance to travel.
Okay, thank you. And do you think that the yellow is favourite to win or the
Yellow's
blue?
favourite?
Yep.
Yellow for me, he's got like front position and can see it coming in more clearly.
Yep. Okay, thank you. Now next, Joe, you're a little bit higher than Hughes but a bit more central of the photograph. What did you see?
Yeah, good morning, Matt. Obviously, two players challenging for the ball. I do think the player in yellow is favourite. I did take a lot from the facial expressions. I think if the ball was any closer, particularly the player in yellow would be a little bit more, I'm going to say, screw face in a sense. He looks quite relaxed and he's now got himself set to, like mentioned before, Renee, to chest it down. But I do think he's going to have to sit in a little bit. And as we look at the picture will probably move from like left to right. So I'd like you put a little bit of distance between it. But I do think it's a very difficult one. I looked at both the eyes. I do think sometimes when we look at these pictures, you can see the ball within their eyes, particularly there, and then with the player in yellow as well. But I just think he's getting himself set to sit in and potentially bring the ball down on his chest.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Kieran, I'll come to you next. You're more central. There's your blue cross. What did you see there?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Good morning. I looked at this picture and I wasn't sure exactly whether the player in yellow was backing into the player in maroon and blue, or whether the other player was actually running into the back of the player in yellow. I thought that the player in yellow was just the contact's being made, and it looked like he was a little bit out of balance. So I had a feeling that the other player is actually running to the back of him. However, I took the eye lines as the best guess of where I thought the ball was. I do agree. I think it's got a little bit of time to come in. But I think the player in yellow looks just slightly, the look on his face to me looks like he's just become slightly unbalanced. He's got a little push in the back. And whilst I agree with Rennie, he's trying to control this ball, I think the push in the back may be changing what's happening in this scenario. But I looked at the eye lines. I thought the player in maroon and blue is looking just above the head of the player in yellow, and that's sort of where I took my line from. I agree, can't see a lot of white under their eyes, but they do look like they're looking upwards. So I cross-referenced the eye lines and put where I thought that the ball was.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we'll come over to you, Andy, and then work our way down, then back to my own. Yours is the yellow cross, Andy. How did you get to this position?
Thanks, Matt. I 100% agree with Renee's initial statement regarding how the ball's coming in, etc. As you can see, because my cross is placed very close to hers. However, listening to everybody else's on an individual basis, I can see how Hughes and Joe's can lie there. If you just had those at single, I can see exactly where they're coming from. But however, going back to my own judgment there, I just feel that it's quite sunny. Yes, he's right. The guy in yellow especially is looking, I think the ball is possibly shading the sun, whatever, so it's coming into his direct eye line. I just felt that the ball is probably a ball that's dropped or maybe bounced up again. He's holding his hands out. Very comfortable with how the ball's going to drop to him. As was stated, I think it's either going to be controlled by his feet, thigh, or possibly chest, but I think it's going to be coming down to his feet rather than anything like flicking it on with his head or nothing like that. So yes, I can see the ball is quite close, and the guy again in behind him in blue is just slightly looking over the line of his head. And I just feel that the ball is just there, but bounced rather than coming in.
Okay, thank you. Wendy, you're just below Andy's. There's your light blue cross. What did you see?
Yeah, fairly similar. The player in yellow is definitely favourite to win the ball and is going to bring the ball down as opposed to, I think as Andy said, as opposed to head it or anything like that. I think he's potentially likely to bring it down on his chest. His arms are nice and wide. And I feel that he's probably sort of backing into the player in blue to sort of try and make sure he's sort of protecting the ball and getting himself into a good position to be able to bring that ball down nicely. I think it's a looping ball that's sort of dropping in. I took the eye lines of both players as well. There was the player in blue, his left eye, right eye, as we're looking at it, I thought there was, so I think the other eye, there was just ever so tiny bit of white sort of just under the eye. And again, as I think Rennie said at the start, he's looking over the player in yellow's head. So that's where I sort of got the height of the ball from, as well, was from his eye line.
Okay, thank you. Anna, you're just a little bit lower and ever so slightly to the left. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, thank you, Matt. I agree with Wendy. I think the ball is coming from left to right. The play in yellow seems to be in control. He's got his arms wide open. I think he's gonna chest this ball and bring it down. Based on the eye lines, I think is the play in blue, I think, is looking up, but not very steeply. Whilst the play in yellow, I think, is looking a bit more steeper. But I think I don't think the play in blue is gonna reach the ball. I think it's just putting pressure on the play in yellow, so he can't control the ball freely. But based on the eye lines, I think the ball is quite close to the player in yellow, and that's it.
Okay, thank you. And then last on my own, I'm a little bit further away, a bit on the same line as yours, Anna. Again, I thought the same. I thought the yellow player was just backing into the player, or backing in, or just holding his ground. Certainly, his arms look quite tense to me. And the expression on his face is quite relaxed, although he's grimacing a little bit. And I just thought the ball was coming left to right, dropping into him. And he's just fending off the player in blue who's trying to get involved. And as many of us said, whether he's going to chest it or control it and maybe just pass it on, we don't know. But that's the sort of impression I got. So here we have it. We have the calculated average here. And as we see that there's a fair few outside this calculated, the severe. I am going to, as lead judge, remove Hughes and Joe's. And the reason being is, although they are outsiders, the other three are at the bottom. The majority of us have this little cluster at the bottom. And I think it's Joe and Hugh are far enough away from the rest of our choices for me to do this. Now, when I hover over the top of this calculated average, we'll see that Kieran's is still popping out slightly. And my own personal view, and again, this is a personal view, not a lead judge role, is that Kieran's would stay, which does reflect the fact that we've got a split view. I'm going to, before I come talk to you, just remove the lines so we can see how this has changed the views up from the players, which is a much tighter spread from this player in yellow. And again, to my personal view, I think that suits the picture better. And then from this player in blue at the back, as we've all said, he's looking over the top of the head, and that justifies that decision. So we've all said ball's coming in left to right. I think Kieran thought that the player in blue may be pushing. The majority of us think the player in yellow is just standing his ground. We think the players in yellow is going to bring it down, whether it's on his chest or on his, controlling it with his feet. So I'm going to come through you all and see whether you're happy with this calculated average, or if you indeed want to see any other changes. And to clarify, I have removed Hugh and Joe's because they were so much further away, outside the compass of the magnifier, and away from the majority of the other panel. So Hugh, I know I've removed yours, but if you could share your views, please.
I'd leave Kieran in. I think it balances it nicely, 3 above, 3 below, and it's right on the edge of the circle, and also where my position would be. So that side of it.
Okay, and I'll draw. We've just said there's 3 up, 3 below. And again, we come through there. Again, it's a good split. To equal top and bottom. So thank you for pointing that out. Andy?
I'm happy with the average as it is now.
Yeah. Kieran?
Yeah, I'm happy with where it is now, Matt.
Yeah. Renee?
Yeah, I'm happy with the average.
Joe, again, I know I've removed you, but we're looking at this calculated average.
Yeah, no problem, Matt. Yeah, happy with Kieran to stay in and happy with where the average is now.
Yeah. Wendy?
Yeah, I think it's a credible position, nice narrow band and a nice balance of all the crosses. So yeah, absolutely, I like it there.
Yeah. Anna?
Yeah, happy with the average too.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So, George, we decided to judge at this calculated average with 6 remaining judges after myself removing both Hugh and Joe's for the reasons I've given. We've decided to judge at this calculated average.
Thanks, Matt. Please go ahead and click submit. Thank you, judges. Selected are 13271193. These coordinates will now be passed to the auditing company ASITS to calculate the winner of the competition, and they will then inform BOTB. That concludes the judging process. Thank you.